Welcome to the final first look seminar of the season. Gino, we've got 2 more days left here at Santa Anita. Big fields both days. First post on Saturday, which we will be talking about Saturday in just a moment, is at 1 o'clock. First post on Father's Day is at 12:30. We actually have 11 races tomorrow and 12, count them, 12 races on closing day Sunday. Gino, welcome to the show.
Yeah, kind of a sad mixed emotion on the closing weekend, right? Especially this one because we have some big races and big fields, really good betting opportunities, and we close on Father's Day. So I think for a lot of people growing up, you come to the racetrack with maybe your parents and family members. And for me, I remember with my mom and my dad, they met each other at the racetrack. My mom was selling digests at Santa Anita. My dad was a gambler coming in every single day, and they went out on their first date. Actually, I think it was to Hollywood Park. Everything was the honeymoon. We went down to Del Mar. So everything has been horse racing and like the Southern California horse racing for my family. And like always, last chance to get in those pick'ems, Chappie. Free to enter our favorite free to enter contest. $500 to the winner. Pick'em.santanita.com. There's a couple big tournaments. I'll plug those again at the end on ExpressBet for Saturday and for Sunday. A big closing day tournament. So lots of money up for grabs. Skippy, I look at some of these races too, and the only thing I wonder is, like, we had big fields a lot of the time on opening day and some of the big days, and then here, some of these horses, I'm like, where have you been the last couple of weeks or months? These are some strong races we have in this late pick 5.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks very tough, and I'm going to put in a little bit bigger ticket. I like a couple prices, and I think I have my single, so hopefully we can hit it. The weather's going to be great. It's going to be a little bit warm, and it is, it's a little sad the meet's coming to an end, but it's been a long meet, and now summer is here. The weather is, it's summer's here. The heat's on.
Well, let's get started, gentlemen. And Skip, we can't call you a door knock apologist anymore after the big win last week. Good call, my friend. So let's
really good stuff.
Let's lead off the late pick 5, which we're going to discuss here, races 7 through 11 with you, Skip. We're going a mile on the turf on race 7, a maiden special weight. I have a feeling you're going to have some coverage in here, and we've got some prices. Skip, what are your thoughts here to kick us off in the late pick 5 on Saturday?
Yes, and by the way, I never got so many compliments last week about how good I looked on this show. They said, man, you never looked so good. So that was great. But unfortunately, we're back on today. You can actually see me, so they're going to be disappointed. But, okay, we're going to start this thing off. I'm checking out the favorite. I'm checking out the 12, the 9-5 favorite. I'm going to use a couple prices in here. I'm going to use number 1, Glacier Rim. This horse is trained by Ruiz and owned by Ruiz Racing. This horse ran sneaky good last time, and it had a really nice gallop out. I like the replay, so the 1's going to be on my ticket at 12-1. The 2 is going to be on my ticket. I gave it out last time we did this, and I thought it would show a little more speed. It kind of broke, not the sharpest, taken back, got in a little tight spot going in the turn, took way back. This horse came running. It didn't have the best gallop out, but I liked it. It was a sneaky good race at 20-1. The 2's going to be on my ticket. Then we're going to go to the 6. The 6 is a Dan Blacker. He's got 3 starts, 2 winners for the meet, coming off that little suspension there. I liked it. I liked the replay. I think the stretch out will be good for this horse. He does good with the stretch out, wins 40% of the time. The 7's going to be on my ticket, Miss Will. Mark Glatt owns and trains this horse. He claimed it for 25 at Golden Gate. Last time Mike Smith jumps aboard. They must have liked it a little bit for Mike to jump aboard. He's not just getting on anything these days. And now Fresu gets on the horse. This horse has got to be live with him jumping aboard, 20-1. And then I'm going to also use the 8, the last one I'm going to use, Miss Club Cali. Blinkers off, go on this horse. I like the way that it ran. First off, back in May 3rd, it ran good. They stretched it out. It didn't run bad that race. All these horses come out of that same race, but I love Hector Barrios jumping aboard. I love the blinkers off. All that being said, I'm going 1, 2, 6, 7, 8 to start things off.
Yeah, last time this is kind of the same. We're having almost the exact same conversation as the last time, right? And we all tried to beat running in my shoes, run a mile in my shoes, and all the horses Skip mentioned, I'm using as well. So, Gino, anything else to add?
Like the horse that what's sort of weird dynamic is I don't know if any of us talked about the horse that won that race, who was a horse who was like 0 for 10 up to that point, who on paper was just not necessarily a standout. That's what makes it difficult. Just from we talk about how we watched a lot of the replays and stuff in the mornings. What's so hard about this race is if you're watching any of the works and stuff in the mornings, the 12 Run a Mile in My Shoes looks like she's a varsity horse and the rest of these are JV. But think about that. That is dirt sprinting, right? That's what you're watching in a morning workout. This is now long on the turf. So for a lot of these horses who may not look as good when you're just watching them in that situation, they might be a little better going long on the turf. One of them to mention was the 6 who Skip mentioned, Tiny Prancer, whose siblings, Dam One going a mile on the dirt, half to a horse named Maracuja, who was a grade 1 winner at a mile and an eighth. 5 winning siblings, 4 of them won going long. The race was pretty good from that one. And the horse looked like starting to get a little bit better as they were going farther. I did want to mention the 10, Hollywood Penny. That's horse is going to be on my ticket for sure. Second time for Papa Padromo. This horse was 6th out of 7 early on, was about 5 lengths off. It was in the 2-path and just really started making up ground nicely late. Visually just looked like a horse who I think will be better going a little bit longer. So the 2 that really I definitely wanted to make sure I had were the 6 and the 10. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the 12. Skippy or Chappie, do you give Ms. Club Cali another shot? You were all over this one last time.
I do give Miss Club Cali a big shot because they went so fast early and now the blinkers come off. But like Skip said, everything he talked about, I was alive in the pick 5 to the 1, the 2, all those horses for giant scores the last time. And none of us had that.
Nothing.
That,
and we weren't close.
0 for 10 horse that won quite easily, by the way. It wasn't
not even close.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We go to this is a very interesting race once again. Now, Gino, we watched the workouts. Now, we got to talk Canada Gate right off the bat. I'm assuming everyone has watched the workout with parenting on June 2nd. And if you haven't, Gino, I'll let you go from there. But
yeah, there's the multiple works for Canada Gate are on there. And this is a horse that's kind of interesting. So this is the 6 we're talking about in race number 8 for Baffert. Canada Gate didn't show a whole bunch if you're just looking at the 2 running lines, but keep in mind that debut lost to a horse named Vlahos, who earned a 98 Beyer speed figure when that horse absolutely freaked. Then went over and ran in a stakes race on the undercard at Churchill Downs and ran really well that day. And then Canada Gate came back in the second start, kind of got stuck down on the inside and kind of got shuffled back. It wasn't this overwhelming traffic or trouble, but it wasn't an easy trip. The works in the morning recently, the last string of works have been pretty eye-opening, not only if you're just looking at the works visually, but who this guy has been working with. As you pointed out, one of the horses named Parenting, who you see in the running lines for the rivals in this race, like the number 3, that horse came back and won next time out with a 97 Beyer speed figure. There's also a work with Reincarnate, older horse, down on the inside and like just getting the better of that one. So I am just expecting, looking at those works, that this horse is going to go to the lead. I think they're going to be really aggressive and not try to get stuck in any traffic or sit behind any horses like this, because I feel like they think this horse now is better, or they've got this horse figured out at least, because that's the first point you were going to in this race, right? Yeah.
That was Captain Obvious. And Skip, your thoughts, because Winterfell put in quite a good work as well at least on May 11th. But I have some thoughts in here. Skip, you said you were going to single somewhere. Is this the spot or no?
No, this isn't the spot. You know, JJ Hernandez had his opportunity to ride a few in here. And who did he jump aboard? Canada Gate. But, you know, I'm going to use Canada Gate because of that work against Parenting. But look at the workout pattern. April 22nd, April 28th, May 6th, then nothing till June 2nd, then June 9th. That's almost a month of missed, actually almost a month of no workouts. Now, maybe the racing form missed them. I don't know what happened there. But when he did come back, he outworked Parenting. That was very impressive. So I'm going to use him. I'm also going to use the one Pony Express. I've always liked the way that this horse has worked in the morning. I love that it's going inside. I love that it had that race out on May 18th. Now, that race hopefully will do this horse a world of good. I'm using the 1, the 2, Wise Counsel. This horse ran sneaky good. It broke slow. It got bumped. It made a wide move on the turn. It finished okay and galloped out well. Now, it's so hard to win first time out going long. So I'm going to give that horse another shot. We talked about it. You know, Mike Rapoli sent it over here. They paid $400,000 for it. That race, you know, he came back to work twice after that race. The 2's going to be on my ticket. The 3, Factory Drive's going to be
my
on
top pick.
Yeah, you against Parenting. It didn't break bad, but it kind of like started climbing, and maybe it didn't like the dirt getting in his face, or
bumped like right after the start.
Right. Okay, he did. But then he stayed on the rail, and this horse came flying up the rail and galloped out really good. So the 3's going to be on my ticket. The thing that's kind of curious to me, they gelded the horse. After running that sneaky good, why would you geld the horse? But they know more than I do. And then my other one,
he's come back too in the mornings. And if you're just, what has been really cool about some of these races too, that you can see 3 or 4 of these works on XBTV, you can see these horses progress and develop over the last month. This is one, I think, almost more than any in this race that you've seen. They're figuring this horse out, and he's learning in the mornings, and he's getting better. He lost to Parenting, who came back to win that next start by 7 next out. He was 15 lengths out of it at one point, and that's when you just pack it in normally. But he did not. He stayed to the inside, and as you pointed out, he's a gelding now. His dam, I don't know if you guys remember this horse, Typhosha. She was super highly regarded early on in her career, and she was like a beaten favorite a couple times in a row. And then she won, and then they went right into Stakes Company with her, and she was disappointing, and they tried Grade 1 with her again. She was always supposed to be really good and never kind of lived up to the billing. There's something really sneaky with this horse, and this is a tricky race. I'm definitely using him in the exotics.
Well, the June 9th work on that horse was very impressive for Factory Drive.
Right.
Was that the one where he kind of went inside? He went up inside and then exploded? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other one I'm going to use is a 7, Field of Magic. I know McCarthy is pretty high on this horse and ran good against Vallejos and then came back, and I liked it a lot. They bet it way down. Even money, JJ Hernandez was aboard. It ran second to McCarthy's other horse, De Medici. But this horse has worked real good. I like their May 30th work. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. I'm not using the 8.
I will do 2 tickets. One of the tickets I will single the 6, Canada Gate. And the horse might just be a morning glory, but to outwork Parenting, who's looks like an absolute monster. Parenting would be 1 to 9 1,000 times over against this group. Yeah. So that's, you got to take a stand. That's one of the, and I will do 2 tickets. One of them I will single there. So, all right, let's move on to the 3rd leg, race 9. Skipper-Rooney, let's go back to you. We're going 1.25 miles on the turf here. What are your thoughts?
This is my single. I'm going to single the 1, Divine Propose, or how do you say that, Gino?
I think so. I think that's a Divine Propose.
This horse, Phil D'Amato, Fresu jumps aboard. First time Lasix. I liked the last race that it ran. The horse that got second came back to win, Rainbow Sky, a 96 speed figure. And I just think he's better. I like the June 9th work. And it was very interesting because it was on the dirt. Usually D'Amato will work him on the Tapeta, but it worked on the dirt. It loomed up outside. He was under a hold. He outworked a couple other horses. He galloped out well. And I just don't think there's much in the race. D'Amato's got 2 other horses in this race. I think the one's going to win. It's going to be my single, and that's what I got to say.
Gino?
What's really intriguing about that horse is I saw what Skip saw in the morning. The horse has been working really well. In his races overseas, he was on the lead almost always. And in his last race, he was right on the lead. But in the mornings, they've been taking him more off the pace. So it is interesting I'm curious if that's definitely what they're going to do. Maybe they just thought, hey, his speed over there may not translate as well over here. So let's just train him to come from more off the pace anyways. We think it's a nice horse. He'll respond and do that. And it's been working. And I do also agree that there's really not much in the race. Like when you're trying to beat him, there's like you start getting towards other horses. And what's hard is it is a long layoff though. We're talking about September. So I keep hemming and hawing a little bit. I have no idea the level of races those are either. Right? That's not necessarily like the top tier track, right? So that is a thing. I'm always just trying to maybe counter, especially with a short price horse. I will definitely be including. He's not a horse I'm trying to beat. The others that are a little bit on my radar, the outside horse. I started to warm up to him more and more. Initially, I missed this horse. And there are, I think, 2 horses. We'll talk about one more that I think the first time handicapping this card I missed. I came back to Spagliato, and I will be including him. His first 2 races were really good. He's right behind Webslinger, who we know is like a legitimate graded stakes type horse. And then after that, he comes back, has a little bit of trouble. It's not like he runs poorly in the race in Santa Anita in January, but that was off of, a 10-month layoff? He was off almost the entire 2023. He comes back, and then he just doesn't really fire on February the 16th. You could see he wasn't running well. He was kind of getting out. Then he's gone. He's off again for a few more months, but he shows back up for D'Amato. And on May the 5th, just going a mile, it was like a nice little just kind of tune-up race for him. And he really got going late. He started stretching his legs well. If we're just comparing speed figures and everything, his best race isn't far off, or his top races aren't far off the rest of these. Being pretty lightly raced, he has some upside. I think in a race where a lot of people will be looking at the other D'Amato, this one wouldn't shock me at all, especially if the inside D'Amato is showing a lot of speed. And for some reason, maybe we get one of these days showing some speed. Birth of Cool is probably going to go, I'd imagine, as well. I feel like GoldenEye I want GoldenEye to be more forwardly placed. I want GoldenEye to be better being forwardly placed. Sometimes it doesn't work out for him when they try that. I'm going to use 1 and 7, I think, for sure. 5 Midnight Joestar is kind of like the measuring stick for this distance, right? The horse that we know can get the 1.25 miles. I think at least one that's worth mentioning here. Don't be shied off if the reason why you weren't playing him is because you look at the last couple of races and you're thinking, oh, maybe Turf Paradise is a little lower. A lot of times when there weren't a lot of races to run in Southern California, plenty of horses that would have been in allowance races would go out to Turf Paradise and run in stakes races or just a little bit higher level, just like this one, and lost to a horse named Kennebec who had won, I think, 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, a really sharp horse right now. So this is a fun race because you have to start with the horse on the inside. What are you doing there? Like the conversation starts like with Skip. Are you going to single this horse or are you not? And then if not, there's not really that next for sure horse to like. You got to sort of find and do some digging.
I'm kind of with you, Gino, on that Spagliato because I don't know what to make of the one, but I don't know what to make. But it's not a good field,
no,
really. So
that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's why I singled the one. I mean, I like it. Yeah. I like the work, but I don't think there's anything else in the race. If that horse is, anything, it should win this race.
Well, if you like the work, I'm assuming you're going to like the work of a horse that we're going to talk about in the next race because they work together. So that's who I was waiting on, but Skip is nodding his head. So let's move on to race 10 because I have my eye on a horse that I think Skip's going to bring up first. So Skip, I'm going to go back to you here.
You must be talking about the 7, Judicious.
1,000%.
Yeah, working very good. Working against that horse. It was on the inside. She's a filly going against a gelding, but she's been working great. I love the work on the 26th. I love the work on the 2nd and the 9th too. I think that horse is very live. It's by Constitution. They love to win. I'm also going to use the number 8, Rich of Joy. I like the breeding on this horse. I like the work on the 24th and June 2nd. I'm going to use the 10. Same reasons. The breeding I like. D'Amato again. He's got 2 in the race. I'm going to use this one with, Freysius aboard. And then I'm going to use the Baffert, Hope Road also. I'm going to go 7, 8, 10, 11 in here, but I'm with you on the 7. That's my top play.
That's my top pick, Gino, as well. As a matter of fact, I'm doing the Quigley show tomorrow, and we will be watching one of those works that I've already sent into the producer on Judicious. The only one
Was it the one inside? Was it the group of 3?
Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about? And
yes.
Is that the June 2nd one? Was the horse was given a target and then moved inside of the target. That was really good.
That was really good.
The June 8th, the most recent one was in a group of 3. And that was the one when was inside the horse we were just talking about.
Right.
On the inside of that horse.
Right. And they never let that horse run at all. They never asked the horse to run and jump, just a stranglehold.
What was really impressive about the June 9th race too was Judicious was fast early and then strong late. Fast early, settled, and then kicked on again late, like had another gear. A lot of times with these younger horses that are inexperienced, they'll be fast early and then they get tired late. And you can expect that. They don't know that they don't have those multiple gears yet. This horse is really good. I mean, and I'm not knocking One Magic Filly at all. I actually had One Magic Filly as like my 3rd or 4th horse in this race, but Judicious I thought was just way better.
Me too.
In the mornings. And it's not, and it's, I have One Magic Filly picked 3rd or 4th, but I thought Judicious was really impressive. What's interesting though, she'll take some money. I think 5 or 6 to 1 is probably fair for Judicious, but Hope Road is going to take a lot of money.
Hope Road's going to be 3 to 5, probably. Odds on.
She's been working pretty well too.
Yes.
Really fast with really nice horses. You go into the horses she was facing last year too. She was very good in her debut. Then she comes back in her 2nd start. She loses to Tamara. In her 3rd start, obviously something goes wrong, and then she's off. She gets Lasix now, first time for Baffert, and then that incredible work tab. So she's the one to beat. The other horse that we haven't mentioned yet, the rail could be a little bit tricky, but Normandy Queen's going to be in the mix for me too.
That's the other one I was going to mention. The last work was very good.
She looked really good. She on May the 25th, she was outside of Tamara, who was a little better than her, but that's Tamara, and she's just a lot more seasoned for sure. And then since then, when you work against really good horses, sometimes you can go one of 2 ways, right? Sometimes it can kind of take a little bit out of you, or then other times you sort of take what you had to exert against them, and then you can kind of beat up on whoever next. And this horse has looked really good in those next couple works since that. In Glatt, what I've been so impressed with Glatt over the last 2 years, I guess, especially, 2 things that you will find for almost all barns right when they start in horse racing, and then even as they continue, 2 of the hardest things to do: win with first-time starters, win off of long layoffs. It's really difficult because it's very hard sometimes to get horses fit to run in races when they're not running in races, because nowadays horses can have so many little things go wrong. They get hurt in the morning and then they're back, they're off their schedule. Something goes wrong, they're off, they miss a work. We're talking about it all the time. Oh, what happened there? They missed a work. They probably missed a race they were supposed to have. 2 stats that are absurd to me that jump off the page. I mentioned one of them last week with Glatt off the long layoffs, right? How if you just blindly bet Glatt off the long layoff, it's like insane. With first-time starters, if you just blindly bet Glatt over the last 5 years, $2.35 for every $2 that you bet on 131 horse sample size. So it's just with first-time starters and horses off of long layoffs, which are 2 of the most difficult things to do as a trainer, and he's been doing them so well as of late. Just want to give credit when credit is due whenever I see things that jump off the page to me. 1, 7, 10, 11, I'm going to be building a lot around in this race.
1, 7, 10, 11. Skip's going to use the 8 in there as well. I thought that work on the 2nd was good. Say hi to Janie and Zenyatta there, Skipper. And we move on to the 11th and final, Gino. Back to you, maiden 50s here. 6 furlongs on the turf. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll have a top tier in here towards the outside of the 9 and the 10. Both of these horses, first with Bartholomew, this one is got a pattern that I really like. So if you notice, when he just missed on April the 4th. He was beaten 3/4 of a length. It was cutting back from 1 1/8 to 6.5 furlongs. And then he stretched back out to 1 mile last time out. Now we get the cut back again. So I think cutting all the way back to 6 furlongs now, after going 1 1/8 miles, 6.5, and 1 mile, you will get a fit horse who will be able to sit off just a little bit like he was doing on April the 4th. I don't think he'll have to be on the lead. And since he's drawn towards the outside here, he can sit just a little bit. And then the 10, Sea of Cortez. So he makes his first start in the U.S. back in October of 2023 last year. It was off a 10-month layoff, 10.5-month layoff. And he almost wins that day at 6 furlongs. He's kind of bumping around. There's a blanket finish that day. He just kind of couldn't get straightened out late. And then he comes back. A little bit of early trouble on November the 26th. I got to say, it was a little bit of a clunker that day, but his January 7th start, that was a brutal trip. Absolutely awful. Give him plenty of time off now, and now you just get to start back over. You get to go back to 6 furlongs where you almost won that time, and you're going to fire fresh again. And I think you should get a decent amount of speed in here. Quality Wins gets the inside draw. They might be forced a little bit. Takum Kara is going to have to go. Wouldn't be shocked to see Bilber Joe and John and Nick all going. Legitify, right? We can see a good amount of horses in here showing some speed. It could set up nicely for Sea of Cortez. Both of these horses dropping in from maiden special weights to maiden 50. So those will be my top tier. I'll probably play a lot of tickets trying to get out of here with these two.
All right, Skipper, anybody you want to add into Gino's 9 and 10, kind of building around those two?
Yeah, this was the toughest race in the sequence for me.
Agreed.
I was going to use the 1, second off the bench. Glatt does good. I don't really like the rail, but didn't run bad last time. I'm using the 4. I like this horse going back to the grass. I like
the 1 is out. Ziski's out.
Oh, the 2 I meant. Quality.
Okay. Quality Wins.
Yeah,
okay.
I actually knew what he meant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to use the 4 leading. I like the work on the 31st. I like him dropping in class, and I like that this horse is going back to the grass and shortening up. So the 4 is going to be on my ticket. The 5 is where JJ Hernandez ends up. We can't see the workouts. They're all at San Luis Rey, but I've seen Peter Miller do this too many times. Yep. I'm not leaving the 5 off my ticket. Yep. And then I'm going to use the 9. The 10 was a question mark for me. I'll probably end up using it, but I just got to map out the ticket. I don't want it overly expensive, but I'm using the 11 Uncharted. This horse comes out of some good races. Lord Billington, Nassau Lestor, that horse I think won today. Nagano, British Isle came back to win. It's shortening up. It's dropping down in class. The 12 is going to be fit. Gino talked about the 12, or not about the 12, but about, these other horses being fit. This horse is coming out of 1 1/8, a mile, and a couple 1 1/8. This horse didn't run bad. The guy named Joe, its second start of his career. That last time he broke from the outside. He had a wide trip and he kind of just stopped. But Mario Gutierrez wasn't asking the horse. Like, he just kind of tied up on him. I love the blinkers on. I love that this horse is shortening up. And that horse stumbled coming out of the gate last 20-1. And then I'm going to use the 13 classically. Phil D'Amato's done this before. Zenyatta's getting mad at me. She's probably got to go to the restroom. So all that being said, I'm using the 2, the 4, the 5, the 9, 10's a question mark, 11, 12, and 13 are going to be on my ticket, and those are all bombs.
Okay, so we're spreading here, basically. And real quickly, who are your single is the Rail D'Amato?
Yes, the Rail D'Amato, the 9 horse. The ticket's going to be big. I'm playing a bigger one. I think I figured out it's going to be about $360. I know that's expensive, and a lot of people, they don't want to play big tickets like that. And I usually don't, but on this day with this card and me not liking a couple favorites, I'm going for it. So I think this thing pays real good tomorrow, and I just hope we close out this Friday segment with a winning pick 5. I know everybody's watching and rooting for us, and hopefully we could do good with them and make some money.
All right, I'm gonna use 2 tickets. I'm gonna take a couple kind of swings. I'm gonna single Canada Gate, and I'm gonna single Judicious on one of my tickets. So, Gino, who's your single, buddy?
Yeah, those are horses. I probably won't single anyone. I'll probably have 2 races where I shorten up, where I mentioned, the 9th race, Divine Propos and Spagliato. I can go a little shorter there. I can probably do the same thing on one ticket here in the last race, where I try to use these 2 horses to the outside with the 9 and the 10. And then the pricier of the horses that I wanted to mention was also in that really fun 8th race, the 3 Factory Drive. At least if you're playing, a pick 4 that starts the late pick 4, or a pick 5 and one of them where you're spreading in that race, throw that horse in on a ticket, because the stretch out could really improve this one's chances. So good luck, man. I have a lot of fun doing this with you guys. It's a blast talking about these races. We'll figure it out, I'm sure, with when we get back together with Del Mar, but we won't have any Santa Anita for a while. So I'll look forward to talking with you tomorrow in the morning and chatting a little bit more about these races and other races across the country.
We will dive in a little bit tomorrow, again at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific on the Morning Line Sports Show. That's AM 830, AM830.net, or the Angels Radio app, or TML AM 830 on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. So join us then. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Remember, tomorrow, 11 races, first post 1 o'clock. Sunday, Father's Day, 12 races, first post 12:30, and mandatory payouts all across the board. So thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll see you again next meet.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Happy Father's Day.